This is the Success Happy Hour with Rob, your host, the Drunken Grape. And today we are talking about how to relocate, how to find success relocating, particularly in the world of real estate. We're going to talk about one hotbed spot in Costa Rica. I know that myself. I first ventured there back in 1997 and was very quickly enamored with the place. It is called the Switzerland of Central America, and it has a very peaceful society, an incredibly high literacy rate, a budding and bubbling economy. There's a lot of great things about this. A blue zone, in fact, where centenarians live. It's one of the 4 or 5 blue zones in the world, a concentration of people who make it over 100 in excellent health. Without further delay, let's introduce my guest, Tammy Lowell. Hi, Tammy. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Hi, Rob. Thank you for having me. Thanks so much.
Well, it's great to have you, and it's great to have somebody that's actually an expert in this area of real estate. From what I understand, you've been practicing it since, about 2014? Is that correct?
2014.
Wow. So what got you started in such a unique journey? I mean, there's some interesting things you shared with me in the green room and prior to discussing coming on this show. But share it with the audience. What got you into this? Because this is something that's dynamic. It's cool. It's fun. It's kind of edgy, and it has a lot going on in it.
So I am from St. John's, Newfoundland, which is a fantastic place in the world if you've never been there. And I highly recommend you put it on your bucket list. But so I've been working in real estate for quite a number of years now, and always actually had a little dream to sell real estate in the tropics. And I was a little hooked on all of those, House Hunter International shows. So it was the winter of 2014, a storm to kind of end all storms, a huge snowstorm, which lasted for days. And my husband and I were sitting around one evening drinking wine, I might add.
Nice.
Yeah, of course. And so I had received a message. I was on a mail-out list for a real estate agent that lived in Costa Rica that sent me some listings. And so we were kind of going through the listings and just, enjoying the storm, being in the house, drinking some wine. And we thought, what about if we maybe bought a little vacation getaway in Costa Rica? And that's kind of how it started. We came down to look for something. I think it was like a month later we came down to look for something. And then the real estate agent had a conversation with me about what is the opportunity maybe of coming to sell real estate in Costa Rica. Now, I had a lovely life and a lovely career, and my family and my friends, and I absolutely love the province where I'm from. But I don't like winter, Rob.
Yeah, I can relate. Neither do I.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of cold weather sports or cold weather activities, except, of course, staying inside and drinking wine.
Cool.
So I thought, well, why don't I give this a try? And actually, I thought I'd give it a try for 1 year just to see, what would happen. And so I left a fantastic, very successful, I might add, commercial real estate position in St. John's to move to Costa Rica and to give it a try.
That takes guts. That takes guts and courage. And there's always a triumph. Well, I would say it is. I mean, you're taking a high-level income, and especially at the time, I mean, things are changing rapidly with the cost of living in Canada, and that's partly why I think anybody watching this should tune into it. If you have some means and money, it's always great to diversify and buy a place into somewhere like Costa Rica. Yeah. And obviously, you've got some tips and tricks with that, but it's at the time, leaving a 6-digit income in St. John's, Newfoundland, would be in 2014. I mean, the cost of living there would naturally be lower than where I'm from or residing in right now in the city of Ottawa. So, I mean, that's a great lifestyle. You had a really abundant lifestyle. And to roll the dice like that and take a chance on it. I mean, I almost have to kick off the happy hour. It's a happy hour, ladies and gentlemen. Cheers to you on having the gumption to do that. So what do you have in your hand? You mentioned you have a Prosecco mimosa in your hand. That's exciting. That's cool. Right on site in Costa Rica.
Yeah, so this is all about, your podcast, of course, is all about sales and alcohol. So I had to, it's a mimosa, but I have more orange juice actually than Prosecco. So it's good because it's earlier.
That's cool.
Here, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a great way. You're in Costa Rica and right now on site. We see some of the tropical images in the background, the fans running, the air conditioning's running. I mean, it's you're in sweltering heat. We're actually in a bit of a heat wave here in November in Ottawa and across Canada. It's odd, but Prosecco. What I love about the Glera grape and Prosecco, it comes from Veneto, kind of a higher altitude part of Veneto, northeastern corner of that region within Italy. It's a wine producing powerhouse. It's all fermented in one large tank. It's all done in one shot, and that lowers the production costs. It's called the Charmant method or the Martinotti method. I believe it's an Italian by the name of Martinotti that was named after. And Prosecco's got a lot of citrusy, sometimes some stone fruit in it, like you get a little hints of peach and apricot. That goes great with orange juice and a mimosa. I mean, you don't have to spend the money on champagne. It's expensive as hell. I mean, just to crack a $60 bottle of champagne and make mimosas off it, you can do it, with about $20 in Prosecco and have equally as good of an effect. So cheers to you on that. I have a Provincial Rosé, and this is from Bern. I haven't even tried this yet. This is new. So Provence uses a direct press method in their fermentation, or actually their vinification process. They lightly press the grapes. They're macerated for a short period of time on the skins. That's why you get almost this pinkish salmon-colored hue. It's light. You can just see it in the glass. A lot of times what happens in these crisp styles of rosé, as per my friend Jennifer Simonati in her rosé book, this is a brilliant book on rosé wine. Jennifer Simonati Brian's a really good friend of mine and a master of wine, so she knows an awful lot about these subjects. But even the profile of this, I could smell the flavor from the table below just before I even swirled it as I poured it in the glass. And the neat thing about this style is you get a lot of peach and apricot notes as well as strawberry notes. So if you're not a fan of red wines, you're typically a white wine drinker, this is a great way to start to segue into it. And, they have high acidity and they're dry. It tends to lend itself really well with vegetarian dishes, seafood. Try this with seafood because it adds a little extra dimension to it over white wine. So that's just some thoughts in the happy hour. Cheers to you, my friend. I have a toast on screen. That's pretty good stuff. But getting back to it. So 2014, you embarked on this cool journey into Costa Rica. Costa Rica, I might add, is a wonderful place. I have traveled to it. I haven't been there in a long time. Last time I think I entered through Costa Rica was somewhere around 2003 in the cruise line industry.
Oh, but you have to come down, Rob.
It was developing. So, and we planned to. My girlfriend and I planned to come down. So talk to us a bit about how this escalated and elevated. And I mean, you took a huge roll of the dice to ditch a premier or first class basic living to do this with your husband.
Yeah. So this is the second time. It's the second time I actually left a very nice career. And you know what? It just gets to the point where, when you've done everything, when you feel like you've reached the pinnacle of something and you're ready to move on to something else, I think it's really important that you move on to something else. Hey, we have one life and we need to, live and do every single thing that we want to do in our lives. And I think it's super, super important. So now I actually have a bit of a blended life. So I have my real estate firm. I've built my business. I have a real estate firm here, a boutique real estate firm in Costa Rica. I spend about 7 months here of the year. Then I go back to Newfoundland, usually in June, and I spend summers there. Then I go to Europe, and usually every year, well, minus COVID, of course, but usually every year, spend maybe like a month or 6 weeks in Europe and come back to Costa Rica. And then I always go home for Christmas. And now I'm a grandma. I have two amazing grown children,
Wow.
grown sons, and yeah, and their wives, and now I'm a grandma. So it's so important that I go back because I really, really, really want to be part of my grandchildren's life as they grow up. I don't want to miss anything. So I really do have a great life. But it came with a lot of hard work.
Sure.
Yeah, my first year here, I literally sold one property. I went from having this great, successful, commercial real estate career back in Newfoundland and moving here and selling one property. So it's taken a lot of work, a lot of marketing, a lot of networking, a lot of making contacts, connections, getting to know the country, of course. And so it's a 7-year overnight success.
Yeah, it's funny that you use that term because success doesn't really take off to 4 or 5 or 6, 7, sometimes up to 10 years into an adventure itself or a venture. Because I like to call it an adventure because you're creating a lifestyle. We talked about this as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, this wasn't all about the money because you sacrificed a lot of money to come down. And this was about establishing something else you wanted to do, You wanted a lifestyle.
Yeah.
You wanted something better.
Of course, and we actually live very minimalistic, I suppose, compared to what we used to live like, back when the kids were all growing up and you had your busy lives. And in Costa Rica, you do not need, gigantic, large spaces because a lot of your living is done outside. And I've always been a person who likes to kind of own less, do more and just own less. So it works quite well. And I love the fact that, I live in a community where I can pretty much walk everywhere. Of course, I need my vehicle when I'm working with clients, but for the most part, my day-to-day life is walking or riding my bike, which is my favorite thing in the whole world to do. So it's all about lifestyle, and success comes in many, 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 many definitions. And money, of course, is a part of that, of course. But I think being happy and, living a lifestyle that's true, that you own, that's true to you, is so incredibly important.
Do you have any funny or interesting experiences that happened in Costa Rica in your first time in there, or your adventure or journey?
I have a few. I have something that happened. I'm going to say it was probably in the first 6 months of moving here. That was kind of funny. So I lived in the community Playa Hermosa. And I would do a lot of my activities in Playas del Coco, which is, like a 10, 15 minute drive. So I would come to Playas del Coco to go to the gym and grocery stores and various things.
That's cool.
So one morning, I drove my car from Playa Hermosa to Playas del Coco because I had a fitness class. And there was an issue with my vehicle, and I needed to stop at the garage to see what the issue was. So after my fitness class, I went by the garage, and the guy said that he did not have time to look at it, but I had to leave it there, and that he would, make time later in the day and let me know when the issue, whatever it is, that was fixed, and I could pick up the vehicle. So I thought, well, okay, I need to get back to Playa Hermosa. So maybe there's a bus, and I'm sure there was a bus system, but I wasn't familiar with it at the time. So, some people here do hitchhike. I mean, it is something that I do see more often than not. And when I was growing up, I grew up in a great town called Fortune in Newfoundland, and I would hitchhike to the next town called Grand Bank. And we didn't have a vehicle when I was growing up. We had lots of love and food, but life was minimalistic, and so we didn't have a vehicle. So I used to hitchhike quite a bit. So I thought, well, I'll just hitchhike over to Playa Hermosa. So I kind of stood on the road, went out to the main road, stood on the road, and there I am in my sweaty, yucky, smelly gym clothes, and I stick my thumb out.
With your thumb out, yeah, of course.
There's the thumb, 45-year-old woman, there she is hitchhiking in Central America. And all I kept thinking was, oh my gosh, I think it was like 4 or 5 months ago this time. I was at the Royal York, Rob, sitting down in meetings with Costco or Starbucks or Canadian
Nice
Tire
hotel.
or something like that. Yeah, and here I am on the side of the road, Central America, smelly, stinky, thumb out, hitchhiking. Yeah.
But you got there
If my
safely.
poor mother were alive and could see this, I would be in a lot of trouble. And but I got a ride. And it was fantastic, and it was a good experience. And so, but it's just all part of this freestyle lifestyle. And I've always been a little bit of a gypsy, I suppose. So it was fine. It was cool.
That's cool. So we got your website up here. Tammy Sells Costa Rica, talks about connecting buyers and tropical dreams since 2014. There's a lot of things that I've learned steadily. You've helped me out a lot with them. Our friend Francois Lanthier, a returning guest on this show.
Yes.
There's a lot of things you got to
Francois.
watch out for, right? You got to watch out for, or probably want to live in a gated community of some form. It's secure. It's easy. If you're away from the property, you can walk away from it. There's a lot of options there. I could tell just looking in, you can jump into something for as little as 70 to 100K, all the way up to $2, $3, $4 million, depending on what you want to spend.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, if you're looking for a studio, you could easily find something in $70,000 to $80,000, and or all the way up to the beautiful dream house way up in the hills for a couple of $1 million. So there's pretty much something for everyone.
That's cool. And you've got a bit of a blurb here just talking about owning property in Costa Rica. Some of it, obviously, There's a lot of commonality between the Western world like Canada or Europe. And I can see that's written in here. And doing this. And I also want to note, and it's something I did promise to say in the beginning of the show, but it's going to be in the show notes for sure. Consult your legal advice if you're doing things like this, people. Go and talk to your financial and your accountants, your legal advice to see how this works. Get proper information. Tammy, you're definitely a great source of it, so I would recommend you for anybody that wants to reach out to you, and obviously they can connect with you through this website. But it's really important, right, to do your due diligence, because you hear scams and scandals all the time. Somebody can come in if they don't have that title passed to them, or if the developer is dubious, if these projects or there's permits that are unfulfilled. It puts you at a lot of risk, doesn't it?
Well, certainly. I mean, it's like real estate anywhere, really. I think, taking it up on yourself to do your own due diligence is very important. And the other thing that I do is, I do a lot of the due diligence for my clients before they even get to the part of, where they're actually coming looking at properties. Because, I'll only work with properties that do have all their permits and their titles and so forth. And I also work with several fantastic legal teams here in Costa Rica that, I will introduce and reference my clients to that, of course, will work on behalf of them as well. So, buying a property, it doesn't matter where in the world it is. It's a huge investment. I think it's the biggest investment of our lives financially. Yeah. And so
for sure.
Of course it is so important. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, and it's part of real wealth too. In an economy and at a time where we are hitting inflation, I mean, they say it's 7-8%, but come on, I've really seen prices rise as much as 20% here in Canada since the pandemic. A lot of that comes from currency printing and debt accumulation. And that comes at all levels and angles. And then, of course, we have supply shocks. We've got a war going on right now with the Ukraine, with Russia. There's many things that influence this, right? And obviously the constant shutdowns and lockdowns across the globe.
Yeah.
Owning physical assets, as I always say, because I'm also a physical or precious metal investor. I actually delve into cryptocurrencies because it's borderless. Now, that's a different animal. That is not physical at all, but it has other root benefits. But getting back to it,
of course,
property is like gold and silver if you have it in physical hand. It is something that's tangible. It's something that is real and visceral. And the added element of it is you can develop an income stream from it too if you're smart about it.
You sure can. I would probably go out on a limb and say 90% of my clients purchase, for the purpose of as an investment income property. So of course and then you can turn around and sell it. And the way the market is right now, the market is very, very good here. Inventory is a little low. The market is very, very strong. And Costa Rica is a great place as an investment.
So, I mean, I'm going to bring up some of the team. There's you. This is in the team section. I'll just come down here. My editor's going to hate me for this because every time I shift things around, he's got to re-edit it. But there's a meet your team section. You can see you're a certified real estate consultant. Then you've got a couple other team members in there as well. I really like the fact that you are well entrenched with legal teams and proper government officials and legal officials in Costa Rica,
Yes.
because this just really cements the legitimacy for me. And I think this should really cement the legitimacy for all of you as the viewers watching this show. And I definitely recommend that you go to Tammy's website, TammySellsCostaRica.com. I'm going to have this in the show notes. We're going to wrap things up, Tammy. Is there any other way you like people to get a hold of you? I mean, your website's pretty complete. Is that the best way that they can reach out to you for queries?
Of course, yeah. And I'm also on Facebook, Tammy Sells Costa Rica, and LinkedIn, and all the various social sites. You can find me as Tammy Sells Costa Rica. My email, TammySellsCostaRica@gmail.com. I'm on WhatsApp as well. I don't know if you have my number there, if you want to put it on the screen.
I do. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm pretty easy to reach. You could actually Google Tammy Costa Rica, and you can find me.
Cool. I'm going to give a moment here because I'm very avid on LinkedIn. I didn't know you were on LinkedIn, and that's really cool because I don't know, my community is pretty budding. I'm not the largest by any stretch, but I think I've got about 17,500 followers in my community. And a lot of them are interested in these topics, and they really tune in. Yeah, I mean, I've just been blessed to build a good community. Is it under your name, Tammy Lowell, or is it under Tammy Sells Costa Rica? I just want to punch it up and bring it out. Is it under Tammy Lowell?
It's under Tammy Lovell. Yes.
Lovell. So sorry, I've got your name wrong. Yeah. Lovell. Okay. Real estate consultant. Yeah. So here you are. I'm going to send you an invite as well to connect. We have to connect. I'm just going to send it. You'll see my name come up. But here you are as a real estate connection. I see that, you've got a pretty good community here yourself. This is cool. So I'm just going to bring this up. Share this very quickly on our way out. There you are, my friend, Tammy Lovell. I'm going to correct that, of course, in the show notes. I don't know why I had you down as Tammy Lowell. Much apologies to you. But this has been an awesome conversation. Any other bits of advice before we part? Yeah, you're welcome. Any other bits of advice that you want to share with everyone before we leave?
The only thing I have to say is that if Costa Rica or any tropical destination is on your list, your bucket list, and you're looking for an income rental property or maybe retirement or maybe even, of course, the forever home, because a lot of people now, digital nomads, of course, are a big thing, and people can work remotely. Anywhere in the world. I mean, I would just encourage anyone to do their due diligence and to make sure that whether you go through, I do encourage you to go through a licensed real estate agent. There, I think there's about 100 of us here that are licensed in Costa Rica. And I do encourage you to do your own due diligence. So just to make sure, the properties have clear titles and permits and all that sort of thing. And to contact, of course, a lawyer, a legal team, so that they can, do some due diligence for you just to make sure your investment is safe. And but otherwise, I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has. And happy to work with you if you're looking for a property. And thank you, Rob. I really, really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, listen, this is featuring extraordinary, featuring extraordinary people with extraordinary drinks. You are definitely extraordinary. I'm very happy to have you here. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever you decide to do, make sure to tune into this, share the content, have a terrific day. This is Rob and Tammy from The Drunken Grape.